Hi and welcome to another story, and today we have part 3 of The Illustrated Mum by Jacqueline Wilson, continuing from Mickey, Heart. Star didn't speak to either of us when we got back. I knew she'd been frightened. Her eyes looked pink as if she might have been crying. I felt bad, but I'd done my best to keep Marigold away so that Star wouldn't be embarrassed in front of her friends. I whispered this plaintively in bed at night, but Star simply turned over with a contemptuous sniff. I couldn't stand it when she wouldn't speak to me. It made me feel as if I wasn't there. I felt my cold, skinny body under the grubby sheet, reassuring myself. I smoothed my silk scarf over my face, snuffling in the soft smell, blowing it gently up and down with each breath. But no matter how I tried to lull myself, I couldn't sleep. I told myself I'd had a lovely time with Marigold and she was fine, but I still felt jangled and tense. I could hear her in the kitchen, wandering restlessly, humming old rock songs, clinking her glass. I huddled further under the covers, and eventually I must have slept because I dreamt I was in the cake cottage with my mouse sister. We sat at our fairy cake table and nibbled the thick icing with our sharp teeth, but it tasted sickly sweet. We washed our paws and whiskers at the cupcake kitchen sink, but golden syrup poured out of the taps, and we were coated in sweet yellow slime. We crawled stickily up the sponge stairs and curled up in our jam roll beds, but the fruitcake walls all around us started crumbling, and the marzipan ceiling suddenly caved in. A huge red vixen was up above us, eyes glinting. She opened her jaws wide, and I screamed and screamed. "Stop it, doll, you're dreaming," said Star, shaking me. "Oh, I had such a horrible nightmare. It was so awful." I clutched Star for comfort. "Don't, you're digging your fingernails right in. They need cutting." "Can I come into bed with you?" "No, I'm not talking to you." "But you are." "Oh, Star, please." "No, now shut up and go back to bed." "I'm going to Marigold," I said, climbing out of bed. "We had such a great time today. You just wind her up and make her worse. She's fine with me." Star said nothing. I was forced to pad on out of the bedroom. I went very slowly along the hall, putting the heel of my foot in front of my toes so that I only moved 1 foot length at a time. The kitchen light was still on, so I went very slowly towards it. Marigold was sitting at the table in her t-shirt and jeans, but she was fast asleep, her head slumped, her mouth slightly open. She still had her hand cupped around her glass, but it was empty. So was the bottle. "Marigold," I whispered. "Marigold, I've had a bad dream." I took hold of her by the arm. She was very cold. "Marigold, come to bed, please." Marigold groaned but didn't answer. Her eyes were half open and not focusing. I knew there was no point persisting. I went and got her quilt and wrapped it around her, and then I patted her icy hand. "Night-night, sleep tight. Make sure the bugs don't bite," I whispered, and went back to my own bed. Star still said nothing, but as I felt my way in the dark, she reached out and pulled me in with her. She cuddled me close, her lap warm, her arms soft. She still didn't talk to me the next morning, but it didn't matter so much. Marigold was locked in the bathroom being sick, so we couldn't have a proper wash, and I had to walk to school clenching hard, a pain in my tummy. I needed to pee so badly. I was terrified I couldn't make it, especially the last few seconds as I dashed to the girls' toilets and got the cubicle open and my knickers down, but I was just about okay. Afterwards I had a quick wash in the sink to get the sleep out of my eyes. Kaylee and Yvonne came in and saw what I was doing. "Yuck, you're not supposed to wash your face in the school sinks. Here, you haven't been washing your filthy feet in them too, have you, bottle nose?" said Kaylee. Yvonne giggled at this new nickname for me. "It's because Bottle Nose lives in a squat. I bet they haven't even got a sink at home." "I do not live in a squat, monkey bum," I said fiercely, although we'd lived in several squats in the past. One of them didn't have a sink. Someone had smashed it up, and the toilet too, so we had to use an Elsan. That was the squat where Marigold had the worst boyfriend of all. "She's crying," said Kaylee. "I am not crying. I've got soap in my eyes, so shut up, camel breath," I said, wiping my face quick with the back of my hand. "Bottlenose lives in a squat," Yvonne repeated, and another girl came out of her toilet and started joining in, and another silly little kid, not even our year. "Shut up. I do not. I live in a dead posh Edwardian house in Beacon Road, so you're totally stupidly moronically mistaken," I said, flicking my limp hair behind my ears and squaring up to them. "You can't afford to live in a place like Beacon Road," said Kaylee. "You're a liar, bottle nose." "Well, try following me home and see for yourself," I said. "I don't want to go home with you, thanks very much. You're pathetic, asking everyone home with you all the time. I heard your mum ask Tasha to go home with you," said Kaylee. "Her mum," said Yvonne. They all sniggered. My fists clenched. "Did you see her tattoos?" said Kaylee. "All over her. My mum says tattoos are dead common," said Yvonne. "Your mum's just jealous of my mum because she's a great fat lump like you," I said, and I shoved her hard in her wobbly stomach. You punched her," said Kaylee. Yeah, and I'll punch you too, I said, and I hit her, hard, right on the chin. Then I marched out of the toilets, the other girls scattering in alarm. Kaylee and Yvonne told on me. Miss Hill told me off for fighting in front of the whole class. It's bad enough when the boys fight, but it's appalling when a girl starts using her fists, she said. That's sexist, I said, accurately but unwisely. Don't be impertinent, Dolphin, she said. She always gave this really hateful sneer when she said my name. And then she went on lecturing me, rolling the words around her mouth as if they were extra delicious sweets. She loved it when she got an excuse to lay into me. You must never ever hit anyone, do you understand, Dolphin? It can be very dangerous. You could have done Kaylee and Yvonne serious harm. I blinked my witch eyes and inflicted further ultra-serious harm upon them. My fist became iron. It smashed into Yvonne's stomach so hard her intestines spurted out and dangled in the air like a string of sausages. My iron fist punched Kaylee's jaw so that she swallowed every one of her pearly white teeth and choked. My fist was flexed for serious action now. One blink of my witch eyes, and Miss Hill became a giant punch bag. Bam, pow, batter, crunch. Hope you're taking this seriously, Dolphin, said Miss Hill. Oh, yes, I am, Miss Hill, I said. Zap, rip, clunk, crush. Kaylee and Yvonne were on to me at playtime, saying the most awful, disgusting stuff, hoping that I'd lose it again and whack them one so I'd get into even more trouble. I knew they'd be even worse at lunchtime, and some of the other kids might join in too. I didn't have to sit with them in the canteen because they nearly all brought packed lunches, while I had to eat a yucky school dinner because I got it free. This was an advantage today. I bolted down my sausage and mash and jam tart and custard and rushed outside while they were still chomping their first dinky sandwich. I did a quick recce of the playground and decided there weren't any ultra-safe bolt holes. I knew one of the teachers would be on to me if I hung about the toilets or the cloakrooms. We weren't allowed inside the classroom. Then I suddenly had an idea. The library. They'd never think of looking for me there. I wasn't too good at reading. I headed along the corridor to the library. There was just Mr. Harrison there, sitting at a desk reading his paper, and two little boys mucking around on the computer. Hi there, how can I help? Said Mr. Harrison. I wished I had had him as my teacher instead of hateful Miss Hill. Mr. Harrison was youngish and fat and funny. He had very short, springy hair like fur and brown, beady eyes, and he often wore a jumper. He was like a giant teddy bear, but without the growl. I think I'd like a book, I said. You've come to the right place, miss. It's Dolphin Westward. I waited for the smirk. He certainly smiled. Are you gay upon the tropic sea? I blinked at him. You what? It's my little weakness, Miss Westward. I spout poetry just as dolphins spout water. I was quoting Wordsworth, you know, the poet who wrote Daffodils. I didn't know. Mr. Harrison didn't mind. May I call you Dolphin, Miss Westward? I giggled. You may. Would you like to help you find a particular book? Or do you want to have a good browse and choose for yourself? A good browse, please. Certainly, make yourself at home. I wandered around the shelves, picking up this book and that book, turning over the pages for the pictures. I could read, sort of, but I hated all those thick wadges of print. The words all wiggled on the page and wouldn't make any kind of sense. I looked to see if Mr. Harrison was watching me, but he was deep in his paper. I knelt down and poked my way through the picture books for little kids. There was a strange, slightly scary one with lots of wild monsters. Marigold would have loved to turn them into a big tattoo. I liked a bright, happy book too, about a mum and a dad. The colours glowed inside the neat lines of the drawing. I traced around them with my finger. I tried to imagine what it would be like, living in a picture book world where monsters are quelled by a look and you can feel safe back in your own bed. You have a spotty mum and a stripy dad with big smiles on their pink faces, and they make you laugh. What are you reading? Nothing, I said, shoving both books back on the shelf quickly. But it was only Owlie Morris. He wouldn't tease me for looking at picture books. Do you have to creep up on me like that? I said fiercely, just to show him he couldn't mess with me. I didn't mean to creep. I have rubber soles on my shoes so they don't make any noise, said Owlie. He took a book off the top shelf and opened it up halfway through. There was a bus ticket marking his place. Why don't you borrow the book, I said. You can take it out to the library, can't you? I want to read it in the library, said Owlie, sitting down at a desk. Ah, so you can hide from the others, I said. Owlie looked at me, his glasses glinting. You're hiding too, aren't you? I'm not scared of any of that lot, I said. I am, said Owlie. You ought to learn to stand up to them more. Fight back a bit. Look where that got you, in trouble with Miss Hill. So I don't like getting told off as well as teased. Oh, yes, well, you're the sickening swotty teacher's pet, aren't you, Howly Owlie? Don't call me that, it's not my name. I thought about it. OK, Oliver. Thank you, Dolphin. They're calling me Bottlenose now. I don't know why. What's wrong with my nose? I said, rubbing it. It's not too big and it doesn't have a funny bump. Bottlenose dolphin. It's a particular type of dolphin, right? The sort you see performing. Owlie made high-pitched dolphin squeaks. Right. You'd make a great dolphin, Owlie. Oliver. Sorry. Do it again. Oliver whistled and squeaked with gusto, getting so enthusiastic that his glasses steamed up. Mr. Morris, said Mr. Harrison, strolling over, are you practising your one-man band technique? He's speaking dolphin, Mr. Harrison. Oh, I see. Mr. Harrison took a deep breath and then let out an incredible series of squawks that ended with a weird clunk. That was dolphinese too. Shall I translate? It said, kindly keep quiet in the library or the fat teacher will clump you on the head. Oliver and I giggled. No giggling allowed either, said Mr. Harrison, pretending to be cross. Here, seeing as you're both interested in dolphins, try reading about them. He found us a big book from the non-fiction section and put it in front of us. Big pictures of different dolphins alternated with chunks of text. I looked carefully at the pictures. Oliver read the words. It was quite companionable. We found the bottlenose dolphin. My one hasn't got lips like that, though. Mine is much prettier. Your one, said Oliver. Oh, well, there's this picture of one, I said quickly. On your mother? I hesitated and then nodded. I think your mum is so beautiful, said Oliver. I stared at him hard to make sure he wasn't taking the mickey, but Oliver looked totally earnest, blinking rapidly, his long tufty fringe way past the rim of his glasses. I think she's beautiful too, I said. I especially love her tattoos. They look so special. They're not a bit like the usual ordinary red and blue sort. Those are just flash tattoos. You get the designs on the walls of tattoo parlours and they're copied onto your arm. Boring. But my mum has custom tattoos, ones she's designed herself. They're all to commemorate something special in her life. And she's got a dolphin to commemorate you. Yep, it's a sort of magic, mythical dolphin, not a common old bottlenose. Could I see it properly? Oliver asked, breathing hard. What, on my mum? I hesitated. I was used to thinking that Oliver was just awful old Owlie. It seemed ultra weird that he was an interesting person inside. He wasn't a wise choice for a friend. All the other kids teased him, so they teased me too. But then, they did already. Do you want to come round to my house sometime, Oliver? Yes, please. What about your mum? Will she let you? She'll be thrilled that I've got a friend, said Oliver. Well, not exactly, I said, thinking he was being a bit presumptuous. Can I come after school today, said Oliver. I thought quickly. I wasn't sure if Marigold would be better yet. Maybe not today. My mum gets these moods, I said. So does mine, said Oliver. Headaches and crying and stuff. Have to be extra quiet and make her a cup of tea and give her some aspirin. Really? I said, my heart beating. Hadn't realised other mums could act like that too. It's since she and my dad split up. He's got a girlfriend. Oliver whispered the word girlfriend as if it was shocking. I don't like her. So? My mum's had lots of boyfriends. Star and me have hated nearly all of them. No. Well, what about your dad? Do you see him on Saturdays? No, I don't ever see him. I don't always want to see my dad either, said Oliver. Dolphin, do you promise I can come to tea at your house? Well, yes, sometime. But we don't always have ordinary tea. Like, it might just be cakes. Cool. I love cakes. Or fish and chips from the chippy, or pizza or something. We don't really have proper cooked teas like other people. You're lucky, said Oliver. He really wasn't taking the mickey. Maybe we are friends, I said. I showed off about my new friend Oliver to Star after school. She didn't seem particularly impressed. We were both tense as we opened the front door and went up the stairs. Marigold had spells when she went on drinking every day. But this time she wasn't slumped on the sofa or throwing up in the bathroom. She was singing in the kitchen, her red hair newly washed, her eyes carefully outlined so they looked even bigger, green as green. She was wearing her best black jeans and a tight black top that showed off her figure. Oliver was right. Marigold looked the most beautiful mother in the world. Hi, darlings, she said cheerily. Are you hungry? I've got some juice and chocolate cookies. Shop one, Star. Great, I said, starting to gobble straight away. Star nibbled her cookie tentatively. Good, said Marigold, and there's cold chicken and heaps of salad stuff for supper. You'll fix it, won't you, Star? Star stopped eating. Why? Where are you going? Oh, I thought I'd just have a little evening out, darling. You don't mind, do you? No, of course not, I said quickly. Yes, I do mind. I was going out, said Star. I'm meeting some of my friends down at McDonald's. Well, how about if you go out tomorrow? It is kind of important that I go out tonight, Marigold wheedled. It's not fair, said Star, clenching her fists. Her cookie crumbled all over the kitchen floor. I ate mine up in 3 bites, even though I was starting to feel sick. I hate rows. Marigold was doing her best to avoid one. I know it's not fair, sweetie, she said, trying to put her arm around Star. Star shrugged her off angrily. Just this one little night out. Come on, it means so much to me. It could even be important to you too, darling. How exactly could your going out, pubbing and clubbing, and getting drunk and making a fool of yourself, and picking up strange men be important to me, said Star. Her words buzzed around the kitchen like a swarm of angry bees. Ouch, said Marigold. She laughed shakily. Look, Star, this really is important. I'm not going to any old pub or club, and I won't get drunk or do anything silly. Look. She took a ticket out of her jeans pocket and waved it. I'm going to a concert. See? She'd pulled the lucky four-leaf clover out of her pocket too. It whirled through the air and landed at her feet. Don't tread on your clover leaf, Marigold, I said, picking it up for her. Thanks, little poppet. I need all the luck I can get, said Marigold, kissing the clover and putting it carefully back. Star was staring at the ticket. You're going to a concert? I wanted to take you two girls too. I know you'd love it, even though you teased me about my musical taste, Star. But they're all sold out. I got this one ticket by a lucky fluke. Well, maybe it was the Cloverleaf doll. What concert is it? Emerald City. Remember we saw the poster? They're still playing, said Star. They must be positively geriatric by now. Old guys going bald with beer bellies. I'm amazed they're still around. This is a reunion concert. They've had separate careers for ages, and you never know, it might be a reunion concert for me too, said Marigold, her eyes glittering. What? Said Star. Don't you want to meet your father? Said Marigold. Oh, please do me a favour, said Star. Emerald City were his favourite band, said Marigold. He'll be there. I just know he will. Mickey. She always said his name reverently, her eyes shining, as if he was the leader of some strange religious cult, and she was his chief worshipper. She had his name tattooed on her chest, with a swirly Celtic heart beating blackly above her own. Tattooists advise you not to have anyone's name on your body, because once it's there you're stuck with it always, unless you laser it away. But Mickey's name is engraved forever on Marigold's real heart, and no laser in the world can make that ink dissolve. Don't you want to meet your dad, Star? Said Marigold. You're mad, said Star. She said the forbidden word coldly and deliberately. Marigold flinched, and then she shrugged her shoulders. Okay, we'll see, she said. Star. She seemed turned into stone. She wouldn't let Marigold kiss her goodbye. I kissed Marigold twice instead. You will come back, won't you? You won't stay out all night, I said, giving her more quick little kisses, 7 for special luck. Of course I won't stay out all night, silly doll, said Marigold. She seemed to have forgotten the other night already. I'll be back way before 12, you'll see. She glanced at Star. With Mickey. She tapped out of the flat in her high heels. She left such a deep silence behind her that we could hear Mrs. Luft moaning from her doorway about stiletto heels marking the stair covering. Star stood staring into space, gnawing at a hangnail on her thumb. I fidgeted about the room, wondering whether to get started on the chicken and salad. I wasn't hungry, but it would be something to do. Back before 12, Star muttered, like she's stupid Cinderella, in search of putrid Prince Charming. What if she does meet Mickey, Star? Oh, right, said Star, heavily sarcastic. Whoops, watch out for that flying pig. Wouldn't you like to meet him, though? What would you say? I'd say, what sort of a father are you, walking out on Marigold and driving her crazy? Star paused. She is mad. She's not mad. I mean, she doesn't look loopy, and she doesn't hear voices or think she's Pocahontas or Princess Diana. She's just good at making things up. She's good at spending heaps of money that we haven't got. She's good at getting drunk. She's good at getting completely nutty ideas into her head. She's good at getting you to think she's Miss Perfect Mumsy-Wumsy. Yes, but she still likes you best. Even now, when you're mean to her, she loves us both equally, but you're the special one because you're Mickey's child. I wish she was my dad too. She won't ever talk about mine. It's like she can't even be bothered to remember him. She hasn't even commemorated him with a tattoo. Well, you can make up for it. Here. Star picked up a pink felt tip and wrote quickly on my forehead. Get off! I looked in the mirror. I had a D and most of an A glowing on my skin. Oh, you pig, Star. What if it doesn't wash off? Miss Hill will go bananas tomorrow. Come here. All you need is a bit of spit. Star sucked her finger and then rubbed hard at my forehead. Is Miss Hill still picking on you? I hate her. And I hate Yvonne and Kaylee. I hate the whole class except for Owly. Oliver. He's okay. So, this Oliver's your boyfriend, right? No. I've got a boyfriend. What? It's this boy I met when we were all hanging out at McDonald's. Mark. He's 16. 16? But that's way too old for you. Rubbish. He's great, doll. Ever so good looking, with dark hair and amazing eyes. And he's got all these great designer sports clothes. All the other girls are crazy about him, but I'm the one he said hi to. So, you haven't actually been out with him? Well, we've met up at McDonald's and we've been there, down to the wreck. But with all the others. He's kissed me. Really? You're kidding me, aren't you? No, really. He did it when we were messing around by the swings and most of his mates were over on the grass kicking a ball about. So, what was it like? Star paused. I don't know. It was like a kiss. Yes, but what did it feel like? Slobbery, said Star, and we both laughed. So, was it him you were supposed to be meeting tonight? Yep, and some of the others. Janice Taylor will be there too. She's in the year above me at school and she's ever so pretty. She's mad about Mark too. I'm scared she'll get all matey with him and when I'm not around. Star nibbled harder at her thumb, tearing the hangnail until it bled. Stop eating yourself, okay? You go and see Mark tonight. But you're scared on your own. I'll be all right. Oh, great. Star gave me a big grin and then ran to our room to get ready. You're sure, doll? She called as she changed out of her school uniform. Sure, I'm sure, I said. So long as you're not gone for ages. I'll be back by 10, promise, and you can eat all my chicken salad if you want. I was already wishing I hadn't suggested it. I sat very still, twining my fingers together, wondering what I was going to do. No one to talk to, no television. I could draw, I could look at pictures, I could dress up, I could play hairdresser. I didn't fancy any of those ideas. Doll, don't look like that, said Star, coming back into the living room. She was wearing one of Marigold's tops, and she'd outlined her eyes with black stuff. She looked incredibly grown up, a stranger instead of my sister. I'm not looking like anything, I said, and I started doodling on the back of my school rough book. I drew a girl with long hair and tight top. I outlined her eyes and circled her with stars. I'm off then, said Star. She peered over my shoulder. Is that me? I grunted. I look like I've got 2 black eyes, she said. Well, see you when I get back, before 10. You'll be all right, won't you? I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Star ruffled my hair and then went. I heard the door slam and then the soft pad of her trainers. The flat seemed so quiet without her. I wondered about playing some of Marigold's old tapes, but I didn't really want to think about Marigold or I'd start worrying. I was worrying anyway. I kept looking all around the room, especially behind me. I kept feeling some crazy man was creeping up on me, or some huge hairy spider was about to crawl over my foot. I pushed my chair right against the wall, tucked my legs up, but it didn't make me feel any better. I drew someone else beside Star, small, ugly, fish face with a bottle nose. I drew droplets of water rolling off this little wet drip. Then I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. My heart started thudding. I gripped the pencil so tightly it made a groove in my hand. I waited for the knock at the door. I decided I wouldn't answer. Marigold owed lots of money to people. Some of the collectors were frightening, or there were old boyfriends, especially the scary one. I was shivering now. I tried to tell myself it was all right. They could bang at the door all night, but all I had to do was sit tight. They'd give up and go away eventually. But there was no knock. I listened hard. Had I imagined footsteps? Then I heard a scuffle and a key in the lock. They had a key. Some of the boyfriends had keys, and now he was letting himself in, and I was here all alone. The front door banged and the footsteps came down the hall. I bit hard on my fist, too scared to try to hide or run. Doll? Star walked into the room and stared at me. Doll, what's happened? Oh, Star, you scared me so, I said, leaping up and giving her a punch, and then a hug. What are you doing back? I got to the end of the road and then I felt a bit mean about leaving you. I'm all right. Oh, yeah, sure. You're practically wetting yourself. Come on. What? You come with me. To meet up with your friends? Yep. But you said... And now I'm saying you can come. Only not in that awful old dress. Put your jeans on. Okay, I said happily. Star lent me one of her t-shirts and tied my hair up on top of my head to try to make me look a little bit older. It stuck straight up like Dipsy's aerial. Maybe I look better with it down, I said. What do you think, Star? It looks fine, she said. Come on, or it won't be worth going. Now don't mess about or say anything stupid, will you? Don't act weird. Just try to be normal. I didn't really know how to be normal, but it didn't matter. When we got down to the town and joined up with all the crowd outside McDonald's, no one was remotely interested in me. They didn't seem particularly interested in Star either. Janice Taylor and the other girls didn't even bother to say hello. The younger boys grinned at Star and jostled around in front of each other, but the older, cooler guys didn't give her a glance. I sussed out which one was Mark right away, but he seemed caught up in some long discussion with his mates. Star went and stood as near to him as she could. I lurked behind her. My tummy was rumbling. I wondered why nobody wanted to go inside McDonald's and start eating. I thought about the chicken salad at home. I'm hungry now, I said hopefully to Star. She was concentrating so hard on Mark, I don't even think she heard me. Every time he burst out laughing, she bared her teeth and gave a little copycat snort. When he flicked his long hair back, Star's own head twitched. When he stuck one hand on his lip, Star's skinny arm could have been his shadow. Two of the younger boys had a silly fight. One of them barged into her. She dug him hard with her elbow and muttered something sharp. Mark looked up. "Hey, watch out for Twinkle." Twinkle. I waited for Star to knock his teeth down his throat, but she softened into syrup. "Hi, Mark," she said, in this silly little voice. He fluttered his fingers at her and then muttered something into his mates. They all burst out laughing. I don't know if Star heard what he said, but she blushed. She bent her head, hiding in her hair, but she still stood there, waiting. Eventually, when most of the mates had wandered off inside, Mark put his arm around her. "Coming in for a bite, Twinkle? Can I just have a few of your chips? Don't you want your own? I'll pay." "It's ever so sweet of you, Mark," she said, golden syrup practically dribbling down her chin. "Hey, tell you what, can I have an ice cream sundae?" "Sure." She went into McDonald's, her shoulder still wedged under his armpit. She didn't even give me a glance. I kicked the skirting board of the door. What about me? It wasn't fair. Ice cream sundaes were my favourite too. Star liked chocolate, but I liked butterscotch. My tongue came out of my mouth like it by itself. It wanted to lick an ice cream so badly. "Who are you sticking your tongue out at, kid?" said Janice Taylor shirtily. I wagged my tongue as rudely as I could. "Cheeky little what's-it? Who is she?" said Janice's friend. "She's that Star's little sister. She hangs around outside our school half the time." "Right. And Star's the one with all the hair." She nodded towards Star and Mark, who were up at the counter. "I don't know what Mark sees in her," said Janice. "She makes me sick the way she simpers at him all the time. Why does he want to hang out with a kid like that?" The friend whispered in her ear, and they both giggled. I stuck my tongue out at them again, wagged it madly. "They'll cart you off to a loony bin if you don't watch out," said Janice. She put her arm around her friend, and they walked off together. I shut my tongue away. The words loony bin banged in my brain. I bit my tongue hard to distract myself. "What are you doing?" Star hissed. She hooked me into McDonald's and sat me down at a table in the corner. She put her ice cream sundae in front of me. "It's yours," she said. "I'm over there with Mark, right?" She ran back and snuggled up close to him. She didn't have anything to eat for herself. I stared down at the sundae. She'd ordered a butterscotch one too. I licked it with my sore tongue, savouring every spoonful. I knew Star must be as hungry as me. Every now and then Mark offered her a chip, but he made her beg for them like a little dog. She did it very cutely, head on one side, little pants, hands curled in the air like paws, but it still made my skin crawl. It was worse afterwards. Mark and Star went off down the alleyway at the back of Boots. I had to hang around staring at shampoos and specs for ages. I was still hungry and my tongue was throbbing. It was so tiring standing still I eventually slid down the glass and sat on the stone pavement, though the cold came straight through my jeans. It was like sitting on a vast tub of ice cream. I was shivering when Star came back at last. "Get up, doll. You'll get a chill sitting on the pavement." "Where's Mark?" "He's gone off to meet with some of his mates." "What did you think of him, eh? Isn't he fantastic?" "No." "Yes, he is. He's the most gorgeous-looking boy in the whole town. Everyone wants to go out with him. Janice Taylor is hopping mad." "What did you do with him?" "What do you think?" said Star. She saw my face. "It's okay, doll, honest. We just snog." I hated the word. It sounded slimy and pig-like. Mark and Star grew snouts and pink piggy flesh and horrible curly tails. I pictured them rootling around each other and felt sick. "Doll?" Star put her arm around me. "Get off. What's up with you? I don't like the way you are with that Mark." "You're just jealous." "I am not. And it's not just with Mark, it's all of that lot. You seem so different." "It's just because I'm older now." "You're still not old enough to have that Mark slobbering all over you. I'll tell Marigold." Star laughed. "So what's she going to do about it? I'm sure she got up to so much more when she was my age." "Do you think she'll come back tonight?" "She did promise." "She promises all the time." It looked like that night was another broken promise. We got home before 10. We ate our chicken salads, and then we got ready for bed. I liked Star much more when she'd scrubbed all her makeup off and was wearing her old teddy bear nightie. She was in such a good mood, she made all the teddies talk to me in different growly voices. Remember I had a teddy voice. I had a teddy once. A big yellow one with tartan jacket, I said, rubbing my silk scarf over my nose. I wish I still had him. "I'll get you another one for Christmas." "No, I don't really want another one. I wish I still had Teddy Jock. And all the other stuff, the old picture books and my Barbie doll with all the special outfits." "Oh, I loved my Barbie." "But you cut all their hair. I was ultra narked, but then I kind of liked mine being a skinhead, and I made her little black bother boots out of plasticine, remember?" "Yes, but we haven't got them." I want them all now. I gestured around our room helplessly. It was the best room we'd ever had, and I loved it. We didn't have any proper curtains or a carpet, but Marigold had bought a giant pot of deep blue emulsion, and we painted the walls and the ceiling. And then Marigold had turned the walls into an ocean and painted whales and sharks and a coral reef with mermaids and a whole school of dolphins diving up and down. The ceiling was the sky, and Marigold had clung to a stepladder all one day and half the night painting the stars of the Milky Way, Sirius and the Pleiades, and the Great Bear and the Little Bear, and the big bright pole star. But biggest and brightest of all, she'd painted the 5 points of the star symbol on her chest above her heart. It was the most beautiful room any two girls could have. I didn't really want it cluttered up with moth-eaten old toys. I just wished we'd been able to keep more of our stuff. Sometimes the new expensive things were reclaimed. Sometimes they got stolen. Sometimes we had to do a moonlight flit and travel light. I thought of all the old toys scattered over half of London and beyond and felt sad. I wonder what's happened to them all, I said. I imagined them scooped up in a rubbish cart and spewed out in some awful rubbish dump with smelly takeaway cartons leaking all over them and seagulls pecking at Jock's glass eyes and rats chewing the last of Barbie's hair. Star let me came into her bed, and when we heard midnight strike and Marigold still wasn't home, I fell asleep nuzzling into the bears on her back and dreamt we were on a rubbish cart, Star and me, and the dustman combed Star's hair with her dirty fingers and licked her face clean and stuck her up on the front of the cart as their lucky mascot. But they chucked me out on the rubbish heap, and I was stuck on the muck screaming for Marigold, but she wouldn't come. She wouldn't come for me, no matter how many times I cried her name. Marigold! Here I am, doll. It's okay, I'm here. It's all right, darling. Oh, God, it's it's righter than right. Wake up properly, Star. Sweetheart, wake up. Marigold had put the light on. It was so bright I could see nothing at first. I clung to her, my eyes little cracks in my face. I could smell the drink on her breath, but she still seemed fine. Though she was trembling. I held her tight, but she wasn't concentrating on me. Star, sit up, my sweet, there. Marigold leant across me and brushed Star's hair out of her eyes. Star, I'd like you to meet someone. Marigold's voice was so shaky with excitement, she could hardly get the words out. It's Mickey, Star. Your father. And that is where we will leave part 3 of The Illustrated Mum by Jacqueline Wilson. I'll be back soon with the next part of this fantastic story and lots more stories and videos to come very soon. If you'd like to subscribe or hit a like, that's always appreciated. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.